Name of the game is love. L-O-V-E. Smartest man in the world said, it's better to eat poke salad than turnip greens. Drink branch water out of a gourd dipper. Live in a shotgun house and be dirt poor, but love one another. Heat better to love one another than to live in a mansion. Eat charbroiled ribeye steaks 3 times a day. All the money you can spend. Wash hole in the backyard. But you're broiling and bickering and arguing and griping, and ain't no love in the home. Heat better to love one another and be poor than to live in a mansion and have everything in the world and all you got you cotton picking riches. I'd rather have love and be poor than all the riches and no love. You don't believe King Solomon said that? King Solomon said it. He's the smartest man in the world. He said, better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stall-fed ox and hatred therewith. And I just told you in Route 4 Liberty, Mississippi, exactly what King Solomon said. Now, I am convinced there's just one place where there ain't no laughter, and that's in hell. And I have made arrangements to miss hell. So ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ooh, I love y'all because you ain't a bunch of pessimists. I love y'all because you're working folks. I got my battery charged the other day. One of the most positive things that's happened to me in a long time. I'm sitting on the couch in my den. CNN News. And as the 82nd Airborne returning from Panama, and as them airplanes descending into Fort Bragg, and I called my wife, I said, honey, come here quick. Oh, I'm getting my battery charged now. Here's 2,000 brave men returning home from Panama. And the navigator said they're going to land, and then the 2,000 paratroopers are going to march back up out of where their families are. Folks, when that airplane got 800 feet, them scoundrels started jumping. Oh, and the first one out was a general. He said, follow me. And they jumped. That's the same 2,000 that jumped on Noriega and played that rock music for 4 days and run him crazy, and he come out of there. If they had to put on a George Jones cassette, Noriega would have come out of there in 15 minutes wanting to see who could sing that good. Yeah! I love y'all. I got my battery charged again the other day, sitting on that same couch, same CNN. I saw folks lined up in ice and snow. 4 and 5 hours trying to get them a hamburger. I called my wife again. I said, Homer Lane, come here. Here's a superpower. Look at them standing up in the ice and snow. They said, that poor woman right there has been in the line 4 hours. I said, Homer Lane, we ain't thankful enough. He said, what are you talking about? I said, we ain't thankful enough. We ain't thankful enough. You know how long it takes me to get a Big Mac? 10 seconds driving a 4-door Cadillac Brougham. And I don't ever remember holding up that hamburger and saying, Lord, thank you. But I'm going to start. I'm going to start. And I watched them folks in that ice and snow. They finally got into that McDonald's, and they put them old empty styrofoam containers up in their shirts and in their blouses and took them home. Oh, ain't this a great country? Hey, we ain't got to stand in the ice and snow to get no Big Mac. If we did, we'd go somewhere and buy our own meat and cook us one. Wouldn't have to put up with that. It is a tradition all over the United States. If you ain't lazy, you'll be respected. And I love y'all because you ain't lazy. I'll prove it to you. How many of y'all have picked up a hitchhiker? All right. How many of y'all ever picked up a hitchhiker that was sitting down or laying down side the road? Pretty sorry, too lazy to stand up asking for a ride. You ain't never picked them up, have you? Not only do I not pick them up, but I scatter them. They don't ride with me. They got to get up on their tiptoes ready to chase my car. I growed up there with Marcel Ledbetter. 10 miles to the closest post office. 10 miles. We didn't have no electricity. We didn't have no telephones. I didn't have no daddy. My mama's just 17 years older than me. And when they run electricity to the house I'd raised in, I wasn't even there. I was off the coast of Iwo Jima. Mama wrote me. And I got that letter. I got that letter from Mama. I opened it up and I run down the hangar deck of that aircraft carrier, USS Bennington CV-20, waving that letter over my head. And they run me down. They said, Mississippi, why are you so happy? I said, the REA has done thrown off a creosote pole in our front yard. Woo! Now, no telephones, but the country store was the message center. If you went somewhere, you left word at the store. I went to see Marcel Ledbetter one afternoon. He wasn't home. I went to the store. Mr. Duval Scott, store manager. I said, have you seen Marcel? Said, he's hunting quail, bird hunting. So I just sat down and waited on Marcel. About an hour, he come walking in. Mr. Scott said, Marcel, did you kill any quail? Marcel said, I killed 19. Fella in the store said, I bet you shot them sitting on the ground. Marcel said, can they fly? Now, Mr. Duval Scott, he run the country store. And he was a very religious fellow. Every time he'd make a sale, he'd mash the cash register key and he'd look toward the heavens and quote a verse of scripture. Make no difference what they bought. School bus drivers would be waiting to pick up the young'uns to take them home, and they'd be back in a little room and they'd be playing dominoes, and every time they hear that cash register ring, they get quiet to listen, see what verse of scripture he was going to quote. Well, one day a big Cadillac parked out front and had one of them beautiful horse trailers behind it. Fella got out and walked in, said, you the manager of the store? Mr. Duval Scott said, yes, I am. He said, I need to buy a horse blanket. Mr. Scott said, be right back. He come back, laid down a horse blanket, said, be $5. Fella said, you crazy? Said, I'm going to the Lee Bonheur horse show on the campus at LSU, that big assembly center. I mean, I got a prize horse. You think I'm going to put a $5 blanket on a horse that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars? Ain't you got no better blanket? Miss Scott said, excuse me, I didn't know you wanted a good one. He went back there in the warehouse, didn't have but one kind. He just got another color and brought it back. Said, that'd be $25. Sir, you must can't hear. You think I'd put a $25 blanket on that championship horse? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I'm beginning to understand what you need now. Mr. Scott went back in the warehouse, come back, flopped down another color blanket, same quality, said that'll be $150 fine. That's more like it. Paid him, walked out, was out there putting the blanket on his horse. and them school bus drivers was peeping through the door. Because just that morning, a little girl had come in and bought something for her daddy. And he popped the cash register and said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." A little girl later that morning bought something for her mother. And Mr. Scott throwed back his head and said, "Honor thy father and thy mother." He'd been doing this all day. So now here come the horse blanket man. And the school bus drivers are peeping at him. Mr. Scott takes $150. He pops that key down. He throws his head back and says, "He was a stranger and I took him in."